Okay, so like imagine this, right? You have the young, super talented cricketer just got drafted to the biggest T20 league in the world. Like we're talking the big time, and boom, banned for 2 years, like before even stepping on the field. That's Harry Brook's reality right now, and
Yeah.
uh, that's what we're diving into today. This whole IPL drama.
Yeah, it's definitely not your everyday situation, right? We're not talking about, him getting in trouble or some kind of scandal. This is about commitment, like plain and simple. Harry Brook got picked up by the Delhi Capitals for a lot of money at the IPL auction, but then decided to just withdraw from the whole
And
season.
that's what triggered this crazy ban, right?
Yeah, exactly. Unprecedented, really.
And for anyone out there who maybe doesn't follow cricket super closely, the IPL is like the Super Bowl, the World Series, and the NBA Finals all in one. It's massive. The money, the fans, the pressure. So for a young guy like Brook, this ban is a really big deal.
Oh, absolutely. To give you an idea, Delhi Capitals bid 6.25 crore rupees for Brook, which is something like 750,000 US dollars. Yeah, so that kind of investment shows you how much they were banking on him.
You have to wonder what they were thinking when he pulled out. I mean, talk about a shock. But the BCCI, the ones who run the IPL, they're not messing around. They've got this new no exceptions rule. So if you're in the auction, you get picked, you're in.
Yeah, it's a pretty bold move. I think it comes from wanting to keep things fair, make sure teams can actually count on the players they've invested in. Can you imagine the chaos if players were dropping out all the time after the auction?
Right, it would be a total nightmare. But is a 2-year ban a little extreme? I mean, wouldn't a fine or something be enough to, keep players from backing out?
Well, I think the BCCI is sending a message with this ban. They're saying the IPL is top priority.
Yeah, like if you want to be a part of this, you need to be all in. It
Exactly.
almost feels like a power move,
Yeah.
establishing their dominance.
There's definitely an element of that. The IPL has grown so much in power and influence over the years. This just solidifies their position. It'll be interesting to see how this affects things between national teams and leagues like the IPL moving forward.
Because you get the whole national duty thing, too. We know England had a tough time at the Champions Trophy. Maybe Brook felt pressure to prioritize playing for his country.
It's definitely a factor. International cricket still means a lot to players. Representing your country on that stage is huge.
So is it really fair to expect a young guy like Brook to choose between this potentially huge opportunity in the IPL and playing for his country? That's a tough one.
Yeah, it's a complex situation for sure. And to make things even trickier, Brooke hasn't exactly been on fire lately.
Yeah, his performance this year has been a bit, well, underwhelming.
Underwhelming's putting it lightly. His stats have really taken a nosedive, makes you wonder how much that played into his decision.
So maybe he wasn't feeling so confident about doing well in the IPL and the pressure got to him?
It's definitely possible the IPL is incredibly competitive. The expectations on players, especially those with big price tags, are huge.
Oh, yeah. I can imagine it's like being under a microscope with millions of people watching your every move. And if you're not performing well, that's got to be tough.
For sure. And don't forget, the money a 2-year ban means Brooke is missing out on potentially millions of dollars.
That's a massive hit, especially for a young player just starting out. But it also sets a precedent, right?
Absolutely. This ban is basically a statement. It's saying the IPL is serious. They expect players to follow through on their contracts. It's a risky move, though it could make players think twice about signing up for the auction if they're not 100% sure they can play.
Right, because who wants to risk getting banned from the biggest T20 league out there? This whole thing could change how future auctions work, even player contracts.
It's a game changer for sure. Teams might be more careful about spending big on players who might back out, and we could see more clauses in contracts about these situations.
It's like the whole landscape is shifting right in front of us.
Exactly, and it raises some interesting questions about the power balance between national teams and leagues like the IPL. We're seeing these leagues getting more and more powerful, and it'll be fascinating to see where it all goes.
Yeah, it's like a tug of war for talent,
Yeah.
right? On one side, you have international cricket with all its history and prestige. And on the other side, these leagues like the IPL offering big money and global exposure.
And the players are caught in the middle trying to figure out how to make the best choices for their careers.
It's a tough spot, no doubt.
Yeah.
So where does this leave Harry Brooks? What are his options?
Well, he's got 2 years to think about this and work on his game.
I guess you could say that's the silver lining, right? He can use this time to train, get better, and maybe come back even stronger in 2027 when the ban is over.
That's one way to look at it. Could be a chance for him to figure out his weaknesses, improve his technique, maybe even try out other things like coaching or commentary.
So instead of focusing on the negative, he can turn this into a time to grow and learn.
Exactly. But let's be real, this ban is a big setback for his career.
Not just the money, but the momentum and the opportunities he was about to break into the big leagues. And now he's out for 2 crucial years.
It's a tough lesson, but an important one. This situation shows how important it is to really think things through and be committed in professional sports.
And it shows how complicated it can be to balance your own goals with the demands of teams and leagues.
It's a balancing act for sure, and in Brook's case, it seems like the scales tip the wrong way.
So what's the takeaway for our listeners today? What can we learn from all this?
Well, I think it shows you that in pro sports, like every decision you make has consequences, and sometimes those consequences can be pretty big.
Yeah, for sure. And it brings us back to that question we asked at the beginning. Was the BCCI too harsh?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I get their point. They're trying to keep things fair. Make a statement that you have to honor your agreements, but 2 years is a long time, especially for a young player who might have felt stuck between a rock and a hard place. Yeah, it's a tough situation, right? That pull of playing for your country versus the excitement of a big stage like the IPL, and then you add in Brooks' recent struggles. Maybe that played a part in his decision. We don't know for sure, but it definitely adds another layer to the whole thing.
It makes you think about the pressure these guys are under.
Yeah.
The expectations, the constant scrutiny, the money it's a lot to deal with, and then having to choose between playing for your country and this huge opportunity in the IPL. That's a tough call.
Absolutely. And I think it highlights this bigger change that's happening in cricket. We're seeing these leagues like the IPL becoming more and more powerful. It's almost like they're challenging the traditional way things have always been done with national teams. This ban is just one example of that.
So what does it all mean for the future of the sport? Are we going to see more clashes between national teams and leagues? Will players have to make even harder choices?
It's tough to say, but this definitely feels like a sign of things to come. The whole landscape of cricket is changing, and it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out.
Like we're entering a new era and the rules are still being written.
Exactly. And Harry Brook's story reminds us that even in sports, actions have consequences, and sometimes those consequences can change your whole career.
So next time you're facing a tough decision,
Hmm.
think about Harry Brook and this IPL ban. It might make you take a step back and look at the bigger picture.
Good advice, weigh your options. Think about the long-term effects and be ready to stand by your decisions because at the end of the day, it's your commitment and integrity that make you a champion on and off the field.
And on that note, we'll wrap things up. Thanks for joining us.